My name's A.J. Mumm. I'm the Emergency Management Director here and have been with Polk County Emergency Management as the Director since 2004. I went to school as an undergrad at Drake University. Had intentions on, I was interested in physics and failed a calculus class, and it sort of redirected me. And I'm glad it did, because it sort of pushed me over to the natural sciences, and ended up taking a lot of classes in weather and climate, and ended up getting an environmental science undergrad with majors in biology and geography. Mm-hmm. And so got involved with geographic information systems, and right out of school worked for a group called the Iowa Environmental Council. Did a lot of GIS work, so that was for the technical side, but also had a chance, because it was a small organization, also got some policy review, policy analysis, and writing reports based on that analysis. And so that got me into more of the policy world, and got a phone call from a professor that I had at Drake, who had since moved to the GIS research facility at Iowa State. Mm-hmm. And he called and said, "Hey, we've got a position that's open, and if you're interested, we'd love to have you come work here at the research facility." And so I was able to do that. And as I was preparing to take that position, looked around for graduate programs, and what I found to be a very interesting blend of the technical and the policy side, and an ability to make a hybrid of those two, ended up being the community and regional planning mm-hmm. program. One of the things that I find very interesting is the dynamics of emergency management. The one day may be a suit and tie in the office, the next day or the next afternoon or the next minute maybe mm-hmm. Out on a scene of a hazardous materials release, or apartment fire mm-hmm. or a flood. Mm-hmm. A lot of our time is spent in the preparedness phase, obviously, mm-hmm. with preparing for a number of either man-made, technological, or combination hazards. And so we do a lot of hazard analysis and risk assessment. That really entails looking at the historical occurrence, the probability of things occurring in the future. If it does occur, how bad is it going to be, and how much warning time do we have to move resources. Mm-hmm. Based on that hazard analysis and risk assessment, we know what we're up against, and we try to match resources to prepare, respond, and recover from those hazards. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's training people on that plan and exercising that plan. There's politics in almost everything we do. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I think that it comes down to relationships. A lot of times will overcome politics. Emergencies are disasters, they're going to become political at some point. Most of the time, the response phase, where it's life safety and just stabilizing the incident, a lot of times people put politics aside during that phase. It's mm-hmm. a lot of times during the recovery phase that people have different ideas about what recovery means. And I think that goes back to where I can lean on my planning background and facilitating, having people come together before the disaster happens to say, what do we want mm-hmm. that future to look like? And it doesn't remove all of the politics. A lot of times share the same goals, the same major objectives. A lot of times it's just how we get from point A. The people want to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. It's just on how we get there, and a lot of times that's where the disagreements occur. Well, it's been a busy summer. Just this last summer, we had about 10 inches of rain in 3 or 4 hours back on June 30th of this year. Extremely destructive. We had over 6,000 properties that were self-reported as having damage. Mm-hmm. So a very widespread, destructive, and deadly disaster. We had one person that unfortunately lost their life. We had a couple of people injured, and we had a lot of people displaced from that incident. Our Emergency Operations Center was activated for about 3 weeks, and then we really didn't even shut down the Emergency Operations Center when we had a tornado that occurred in Bondurant. And so it just shifted gears to deal with actually, continuing to support the flash flood, but then also dealing with the tornado in Bondurant. Over the last 18 months or so, had a chance to participate in the Iowa Sister State Iowa State Partnership program with the Iowa National Guard, and had a chance to go to the Republic of Kosovo 5 different times. And our mission there was to help the people of Kosovo and the public safety community in the Republic of Kosovo develop an emergency management program. I think they have great people of Kosovo. They have a tremendous spirit to overcome those challenges, and are trying to get their feet underneath of them to do the emergency management function at a civilian level. A lot of times in the past it's been a military mission, and so they're trying to transition from a military emergency management model into a civilian model, and was invited to go with a small delegation of soldiers from the National Guard and others from across the state of Iowa to help the people of Kosovo. So a lot of frequent flyer miles, but a lot of time zones, but was a tremendous eye-opening experience. If you asked me when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, I really didn't know that the profession I'm in now even existed. And so it's okay to explore. I think it's great to start putting a lot of those tools, in your toolbox. Again, to be not necessarily a generalist, but I think that's okay to have an open mind and maybe not zero in on a specialty. It's a broad enough career that you can make it a lot of different things, but I think it's the facilitation skills, the leadership, the consensus building. Those skill sets are going to be available to you no matter what specialty you find yourself in. Having a planning background gives you the ability, and I think the confidence to say, I don't need to know everything. Sometimes it's more important to know who does know those specialties, and to bring them on board as part of the team.
Okay.